is Bold TV.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. As you well know, all over the world, on the 8th of March is a day where women are celebrated. It is a powerful and important day where we remind the world the importance of women. And for us, our focus is women with disabilities. So welcome to another episode of Bold TV. Bold is beautiful, outstanding ladies with disabilities. It is powered by Bold Heart Initiative, and we come to you every Saturday by 10:30 a.m. If you want to check out this episode and past episodes, we ask that you visit our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Bold Heart Network. If you are on our YouTube channel or yet to subscribe, please head on there to www.youtube.com/@BoldTV_Bold Hearts. All you need to do is hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, and you'll be let known. And we'll be let known when we have a new episode. You can check all our past episodes. We like to read and hear from you. So if you're not commenting, if you're not inboxing, then you can write to us on our email, and that is boldheartnetwork.info@gmail.com. So welcome to another episode of Bold TV. Relax and get ready to have great conversations around the theme for the International Women's Day. So if you're a woman, if you're a man, you're a child, you have a role to play. The theme for this year, 2024, is Inspire Inclusion. But we're going to be focusing on a sub-theme which speaks about Invest in Women for Progress. And before we go ahead, we'll introduce ourselves, the ladies that are in the house, to break down this topic. I'll introduce myself and then I'll hand over to Affiong, Tomisin, and Grace. My name is Freki Andre Essien. Again, happy International Women's Day. I'm the Executive Director of Faker Foundation, a member of Bold Heart Initiative, a public health professional, disability advocate, among other things. We begin to call our CV too long. But I identify as a woman with disability because I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Affiong, over to you.
I'm just Affiong Etim, no MFM, no CFR, no OBE, Affiong Etim. I'm a medical lab scientist based in Uyo, and a member of Bold, this wonderful organization and unique network of women called Bold Hearts Initiative. And I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. Happy International Women's Day! It's our day!
Good morning, everyone! I like the energy Freki brought in. Affiong almost dropped the energy with her name, not having her name.
Don't introduce yourself and move.
Okay, I'm a broadcast journalist. I use a white cane from visual impairment. I'm based in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Feels good and awesome to be here. Happy International Women's Day.
All right, because we say we use wheelchair from spinal cord, you use a white cane from. All right, Grace, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, my name is Grace Oluwatosin Adebayo. I'm based in Ogun State, a polio survivor, and a disability rights advocate. Thank you very much. Happy Women's Day.
All right, happy Women's Day. And ladies, you know the sign for the theme this year, Inspire Inclusion. So bring out your hands and let's do the sign, Inspire Inclusion. Anyone you want to do, one to go. Where are the hands? Yeah. It's a heart sign for those who can't see. For description purposes, my two thumbs are low to form the bottom of the heart, and then my hands are curved to form the top of the heart shape. And they say this one is for Gen X. I mean millennials. I've been waiting. And the other group of people do their own like this. We don't care. All is hearts. All right, let me hand over this conversation to Affiong. Affiong, over to you. Go ahead and ask the questions, and we're here to discuss.
Okay, beautiful women out there. We finally got a place in the calendar. Yay! Women's Day! They cannot not see us and they cannot not hear us. So we are here today to talk about a special cluster among the sisterhood, women with disabilities. And in line with this year's theme, Inspire Inclusion. center of this heart are our sisters in the disability community. Regardless of your type of disability, you are part of this wonderful demographic called women. So today we are talking about investing in women with disabilities. Is it worth it? Is it something that can be done? And if it can be done, how? So those are some of the questions we'll be asking today and trying to do justice to them. So first and foremost, I'll ask a question. For me, it's a no-brainer. Should we invest in women with disabilities?
Capital letter yes.
Okay, just hold on. If that is yes, and I want to believe this is, a unanimous vote, if that's the answer to the question is yes, why should we?
Well, investing in women with disabilities, first and foremost, we are a part of the society. And so if the society is, investing in every other demography, there should be no exemption when it comes to women with disabilities. So we are a part of the society, and so whatever is good for food for the goose should also be sauce for the gander. So that's one reason. Another reason is, yes, the disability comes into play because, when you say it as a woman with disability, you are disadvantaged on a tripod. First, as a woman, another is the disability, added to it. So if, for instance, an average woman who is without a disability has maybe a 10-20% chances of getting things done, getting around things and issues, standing on their feet and get going, you as a woman with disability, that's doubly, like you are 10 times deprived. So it means that you just have maybe 1% of getting that same thing done. And so you need some form of capacity building, some form of investment to ensure that, we arrive at that equitable table, and then it is fair, and then everybody has the opportunity and has access to growth and development.
All right. But from what you said, I can pick out number one, equity. Everybody deserves to be given a chance. What they do with that chance is up to them. And secondly, women with disabilities need that little extra push because their disability, creates more of a disadvantage for them. Frankie, you want to add to that?
Yes, I do. Investing in women with disabilities is, for me, it is a yes, and it has to be intentional because the likelihood of not doing so is greater than not. It happens that when we talk about women's rights, we find that women with disabilities sometimes are missing. When we speak about disability rights, again, women with disabilities sometimes are missing. So investing in women has to be, and women with disabilities has to have a level of intentionality, or else the likelihood of them not being carried along in opportunities that allow them to invest in. And investment is not limited to financial. It can be knowledge-based investment. It can be entrepreneurial, skills-based. It can be on so many levels. We say it has to be intentional, and that's how you can ensure that women with disabilities are invested in. Another thing I would like to add to this conversation is that sometimes when we say, invest also in women with disabilities, people always think specialized. But within the mainstream investment, where you're investing in women, or you have an opportunity that would add value to the lives of women, why don't you make it inclusive? And that's why the overarching theme for the International Women's Day is Inspire Inclusion. We want to inspire that in the intervention that you carry out, whether on a daily basis or a monthly basis, irrespective of your sector, that you think inclusion from the get-go when it comes to women. So don't always wait for having a special program for women with disabilities before you engage. You can, in reaching out to women, ensure that women with disabilities are part of that opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. You've hammered on our theme. And that mainstreaming is something that is I'm very passionate about, because more often than not, society has conditioned us to expect special treatment, to expect that, wait for your turn, then we'll figure out something for you. Meanwhile, there are many of us who are capable of doing what non-disabled women do. Many of us have not been given that opportunity, because everybody just thinks, we need to do something. They don't, let's just find something for them. And like you've said, the risk and the outcome of not investing is something that should also be considered, because when you don't invest, what you don't invest in can never become an asset. What you invest in is an asset. What you don't invest in becomes a liability. And, in a world where we are trying to increase productivity and ensure that, there's progress, there's more development, leaving a certain portion of people or demographic outside means that we are not harnessing the potentials. No, there's no one without potential. We're not harnessing that potential. So in light of that, we're going to move on to the next question. The next question is, what are the benefits to the woman with disability? What are the benefits of investing in her? What does it do for her?
All right, thank you very much. So number one benefit of investing in women with disabilities is that it reduces dependency. The tendency for women with disabilities to be overly dependent on either a caregiver or a partner is high. When we invest in either empowering her with a skill or something that can enable her to have economic empowerment, we reduce dependency. Even in taking care of herself, we reduce dependency. The other thing that investing in women with disabilities can do is that it can become a protective factor against gender-based violence. Why? Because when you think of things like economic violence, it stems from the place of overly being dependent on somebody for financial support. So where women with disabilities are invested in and they begin to become there's a lot of self-agency, we reduce issues of gender-based violence by making it a protective factor. And the last one in investing in women with disabilities is that it strengthens the voice of a woman, where she can begin to speak for herself, where she can begin to speak against anything that is hurting her. So you give her back her voice when you invest in her. And finally, you do not start by investing in women. Always remember that when you invest in a girl, you don't only invest in her, you invest in nations, you invest in not just her, but the whole village is also invested in. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I hear empowerment, I hear independence, I hear nation building, I hear strengthening the family unit and the community as a whole. So a woman plays a key role in any society that intends to grow and develop. Grace.
Okay, so as a woman with disability, it is very important to invest in a woman with disability, as it increases our capacity and also helps a woman to be more valuable. Like it makes the woman as a person with disability to be more valuable. So you're not limited by your disability. By investing in her, she can overcome the limitations or challenges that comes with disability. Thank you.
All right. So increased capacity. I believe on this same program we've talked about it. We've handled the topic like that. It increases her capacity and gives her, expands her horizon, giving her options. All right, so I'm going to move to the next question. And, in light of all this, we have established that a woman with disability is, first of all, a woman, and she deserves to be given every opportunity that is out there, available to every other woman. And so I'm going to ask, yes, we have agreed that it is, it's a good thing to do. But we also know that in the society we live in, there are stereotypes, there are a lot of barriers that can, hinder the implementation and execution of, whatever opportunities are out there. So what are some of those barriers that can hinder the inclusion of women with disabilities in projects and programs that empower and, give opportunities to women? Tomisi.
Thank you very much, Afyong. I have two limitations that I would like to talk about. And the first is culture and religion. We cannot overemphasize that. We still live in a society where culture and religion, dictates norms, dictates, modes and ways of life right here. So that's one major limitation, not just to women with disabilities, also to women without disabilities. So that's one major barrier, where we still have negative stereotypes, where we still have traditions that are, against empowering or giving power, or too much power in quotes, to women. Another limitation or challenge is what Freki has mentioned initially, where you now hear institutions, government and organizations talk about finances to invest or resources to invest in a woman with disability. So a lot of times what people do is wait till they have enough money, enough resources to be able to organize a separate program or a separate intervention for women with disabilities. So that's one major challenge. And that's why today we are talking about inclusion. We are not talking about separation. We are not talking about division. We are talking about inclusion. It means that whatever it is you're doing mainstream, you should be able to give room to entertain and accommodate women with disabilities, just like you would to women without disabilities. Let us grow and develop side by side, so no one is, feeling left behind at the end of the day.
All right, thank you. Freki, you want to say something?
Yes, please. I think one other challenge that I see of the investing is the woman with disability herself. There are major issues when it comes to self-worth, self-esteem, and self-value, where she doesn't even feel that she should benefit or she's worthy of that opportunity. So it becomes a self-limiting thing for that woman. So a lot of women with disabilities should change themselves. A lot of time, last week we talked about opportunity taking. And one of the things we talked about, because opportunity taking is one way you can invest in yourself. So we saw situations where people don't even feel or understand that the opportunity is their opportunity because it's not labeled for women with disabilities. So I see that as a hindrance where we don't even feel that we deserve it. There's a popular brand that says, because I'm worth it. Remember when I was young, that thing always made sense to me. So we must begin to understand that we are worth value that comes to us and they are worth being invested in. And this on the other side comes, sometimes some families do not feel that they should invest in the woman with disability because they feel it's a waste of money or a waste of chance. This one was used, so they do not bother. So when you feel that this person is just here to occupy space, not amount to anything, then the likelihood of investing in that person is very slim. And then finally, to add to that, would be the issue of self-investment. We don't think that we should invest in ourselves. We think that people should invest in us all the time. So when they don't invest, we do like that. And I'm like, if you want to grow, you have to sometimes just decide that this thing I want it, and then you go for it. So sometimes we don't even feel that we should invest in ourselves. We want other people to come and invest in us. So those are some of the limitations I see. Finally, would be what I talked about, the intersection of gender and disability. It is a double discrimination for women with disabilities. So investment has to be a bit more intentional. Thank you.
All right. And like some people will say, she has said everything now. Anyway, the fact remains that first and foremost, there's a reason why in the Bible, when God commands us to love, he starts with you. Love your neighbor as it was a template. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love your neighbor. You can't give what you don't have. So before those opportunities come, what have you done on your own to prepare yourself for those opportunities? We are saying inclusion. We cannot expect government, that is trying to create room and, develop and build the nation to just we are the ones complaining that our politicians, they don't know what they're doing. Do you know what you're doing? And yet you want to be put in a place that requires expertise, requires certain qualification. What have you done on your own as a woman with disability? Disability is not an excuse not to develop yourself. Self-development is self-love. You love yourself and you decide, I am worthy to be invested in. So if you can't even invest in yourself, even if someone else chooses to do so, you will not see the value because you will not see yourself as worthy of that investment. So let's start with us first, me first, and then others will see the value I place on myself and decide that it is worth, adding to. All right, so let's move on. And then finally, before we round up, I'd like us to just say one thing. Just one thing. Thomason, one thing that, women with disabilities, how these barriers, one of the barriers you mentioned, just say one thing about how the barrier can be resolved, and then Freki will say her own.
Okay, so I would say that one of the ways by which we can begin to overcome these barriers and continue to invest in women with disabilities as a tool to inspire inclusion is that we normalize disability. Discussions around disability should be normalized. It should be in our mainstream life. It should be in every aspect of our lives. I was saying something the other day that the area where schools for persons with disabilities, you refer to them as special schools. No, it's an off language where you say, oh, go to that special school. No, it shouldn't be a special school. It should be an inclusive school. It should be an inclusive hospital. It should be an inclusive road. It should be an inclusive building and all of that. So we should normalize talks around inclusion and disability. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So for me, it would be number one, dear woman with disability, do not allow anything to stop you from knowing that you are worthy of being added to by way of value and by way of investment. There is nobody that is here to occupy space. Nobody came to escort anybody on this earth. You are worth being invested in. So whether it is an external investment or self-investment, please engage. The other thing I would like to say is this, and this comes to anybody who is in the position to be able to invest. If you discriminate against a person on the basis of disability, it's a form of disability-based violence. It is frowned upon by the laws that govern the land. We refer to as the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act, and ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So please avoid disability discrimination in all its forms. Thank you.
So we've said a lot, and we focused on the value and of the woman with disability and why she should be invested in, benefits to her. We've talked about the barriers. We've talked about how some of these barriers can be resolved. Now, final question. What are some ways that, or some areas of implementation, just in case, let's assume the government, the society, the family does not know what to do. What are some ways that they can invest, these different groups can invest in a woman with disability within their sphere of influence?
So one of the key ways is disability mainstreaming into programs, projects, and interventions. If you have any program that is for women, think inclusion from the get-go. And I do not mean inclusion at implementation stage. I'm talking about inclusion from planning stage. So planning stage, implementation stage, across the project cycle, you would need to be inclusive from the get-go. So think mainstreaming. If there is a need for specialized programs, then fine. But wherever there's an intervention that will invest in women in your community, in the society at large, think mainstreaming. The other thing I would say is this inclusion and inspiring inclusion is everybody's concern. It's not just government. Whether you're in the private sector, whether you're in the public sector, whether you are in the social sector, and that is the NGO space, think inclusion from the get-go, and always remember to add that gender aspect, which is where women with disabilities come in. If you ever do not know how to go about it, we are here available to consult with you and ensure that you run highly inclusive programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Another way I would like to point out, and now this goes for women with disabilities themselves, nobody will bring opportunities or investment to you in the comfort of your sitting room or bedroom. So it means that you have to come out and grab opportunities whenever you see them or you smell them. And so you have to also be ready to do your own part of the job, self-investment, looking out for opportunities. Do not deny yourself because an investment does not have it's written in bold letters that, okay, especially for, women with disabilities. Do not deny yourself that advantage. Take it and make good use of it. Thank you.
So we've spoken to the government, we've spoken to society, we've spoken to, the women with disabilities themselves. And I would like to address the family. The family is where everybody comes from. The family, it's the primary unit of any society, any nation. And I would like to say to parents of children with disability, that child that has a disability deserves equal opportunities with their siblings that may not have a disability. Raise them, you consider them a burden. Raise them to be able to be independent, raise them to be able to be the kind of adults that you will not need to support. That is the least you can do for that child. Don't go hiding them away and then tomorrow you complain that, it's a burden, you're saddled with them. Raise them and empower them so that they can stand on their own. And the sooner they can do this, the easier it is for you. Raise them. God gave them to you for a reason. So love them and raise them and give them the opportunities they deserve to have. They are human beings first. The disability is just an extra. And so with that, we have come to the end of our episode today on Bold TV. It's been amazing celebrating today with you, hanging out, and celebrating International Women's Day. Thank you so much for always being there for us, for always, tuning in, listening to us. And I'd like to solicit for your, support in terms of sharing the videos wide on your social media platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that, more people can be drawn to it. Go to our Facebook page, watch previous episodes. There are loads of information and a lot of vital and key facts that can help you. Share it with people who may not have access, so that the more who are informed, the more progress we can make, the more inclusive the world can become. Because when more people know what they should do and how they should interact with the disability community, the better for all of us. So as we round up, I'd like, the ladies to unmute their microphones. We'll see you next Saturday, same time, 10:30 a.m. We'll be right here with another interesting topic. And before we go, ladies, please unmute your microphones and share some love. As we go out, inspire inclusion. In my owl eyes, I'm seeing you through the love. All right. See you next week. Bye. Bye. Bye.
This is Bold TV.